Hey everybody, how's it going tonight? Monday night, 8:15. And as you can see from the title of this show, I might be getting smarter. I have to tell you, I have been slacking big time with the whole social media thing. I mean, it is... You guys know I'm pretty active on this kind of thing. And to see what has been happening lately, I mean... I can't even begin to tell you the amount of, I don't even know what the word is, the amount of knowledge I feel like I've gained in the last few weeks. I mean, it's insane. I'm seeing things way differently. You know, it's like they say in The Matrix, it's like, hey, if you take this pill, you can go down the rabbit hole. If not, you go back to where you're doing, go back to doing what you're doing. Man, I don't want to go back to doing what I was doing. I'm just seeing dogs way differently, like understanding them more from the stuff that Lynn taught us, I should say, as a staff. So tonight's just going to be kind of a mishmash of, I saw some of these questions, I thought I'd go through and answer some of them for you, but I just wanted to get back onto the, train here, so to speak, and kind of let you guys know. You know, the last few weeks, was off last week, spending a whole bunch of time celebrating my wedding anniversary with my wife, which was always a fun time. And from there, hold on, I gotta fix this. Gosh, I hate this. There. We've been a little short-staffed lately, so I've been working my tail off and meeting with clients. I've been having so much fun meeting with the clients lately. It has been a blast, like being able to relay everything, not everything, but relaying a lot of what Lynn taught me and how it applies to the dogs, and seeing how the dogs are changing. Linda, I think I just fixed it. I think I got too many irons in the fire here with on my Wi-Fi, so I just cut one of them out. So hopefully that helps a little bit. So it's been so much fun. Like, we're getting to work and we're busy. Like, we have a lot of dogs every day. And normally we tend to slow down a little bit this time of year after school starts back up, but we have not. It just doesn't seem to have dropped off at all. Phone keeps ringing for board and trains, which is fantastic. And I'm just really looking forward to how things are progressing, because we're changing a little bit. And it's going to be, you know, in the past our changes have been, okay, we're going to do this, and then all of a sudden we do it. And in the past we have just all of a sudden changed things, like, wow, I learned something new, bang, let's change everything. And this is going to be a much more of a gradual change to everything. And, like, to give an example, so I think it was Daniel Caruso asked if I'm still using the Halti. I haven't used the Halti on a dog. I can't remember the last dog that I used it on. And because Lynn showed me the way to properly introduce it to a dog and how to use it, and I honestly haven't had the time to sit down with a dog that's never had it and work that dog in the way that he taught me. So I haven't been using that tool. Jeez. I put one on a dog today because the dog came with it to daycare, and I sent it home that way, on a Halti. That's honestly the last time I touched a Halti. Other than that, it's been... Lynn came in August. I bet you it's been July since I touched a Halti, I think. That would be my guess. Since I actually, like, took one out of the box and put it on a dog and that kind of thing. So I don't feel like it has its purpose, it has its place, but I need to get way better at it before I can start introducing it to another dog as a training tool. In the meantime, we're kind of messing around with slip leads. The dog's got a martingale, we're using that. Star mark collars we're using. Prongs if we have to. And you guys, look, I should honestly do a video on prong collars, because if I say prong collars, everybody's like, oh, it's a medieval torture device for dogs, when it's really, really not. It's just like a Halti. You need to know how to use it. It's just like an e-collar. You need to know how to use it. You need to know how to use a clip leash. You need to know how to use a collar that you clip on to the dog. I mean, there's just so many tools out there that you can use. Pam, a Halti looks like a gentle leader. Goes around the dog, around the nose and around the head. So that's kind of where I'm at, you guys. I'm done with a Halti for quite some time, and also the extra loop over the nose and that kind of thing. So yeah, so that's why just seeing things differently. I'm way more proactive than reactive to the whole situation of training, the daycare setting, walks, like everything. It's just I feel like I'm way ahead of the curve of knowing what to expect from the dog. Like I feel like I'm 2 steps ahead of the dog before the dog even knows it, and it's been kind of cool. It's been cool putting that into effect, putting it into play, and I've just been enjoying. I truly have been enjoying it, and I can't wait to I can't wait to like meet with my next client and be like, hey, let me show you this, or let me help you out with that. So it's, I don't know, I've been looking forward to it. And tomorrow's no different. Another busy day, a lot going on, hands-on with the board and train, so we're going to get rolling with that. So, but to finish Daniel's questions, the remote collars we're still using. We've got a dog in now that we're using for off-leash recall. That's all. Not using it for correction, punishment, nothing like that. I had a lady that I spoke to last week who dropped her dog off for training and didn't want a remote collar at all. Actually, no, it wasn't. No, this was a visit. Sorry, it was a follow-up. And I had asked her if she knew, because she said shock collar. And you guys, anytime I hear somebody say the term shock collar, to me that's a dead giveaway that they don't have a full understanding of how the tool is used. So I went through the whole explanation. I put it on my hand, showed it how it moved my thumb. So, you know, I'll do a little video on that at some point too, because I think it's important for people to know there's no shock. We've talked about it before, but I think it's good to get more in depth with that too. So yes, Daniel, we're still using that. Somebody else had a good question too, is what do I think about somebody not using a leash ever with their dog? And here's the thing, you guys, dogs aren't born with collars or leashes or, you know, dog tags or anything along those lines. So if you look at the question, what do you think about, you know, no leash ever? If you are even attempting that, you better have some mad skills with your dog. Like, mad skills. To me, there'd be a goal of not having to need it, but then there's nothing ever wrong with creating and coming back to that structure of putting a leash on your dog. So let's say, hey, we start the dog out as a puppy. You know, puppies like to follow. They don't like to be left alone. So you can use that drive to help, you know, teach that dog to stay with you, much like I did with Gemma in the beginning. And you can carry that on. Now, I've noticed, because I was walking her in the early mornings, it's dark for a lot longer, so we can't walk. And where I live, there's a lot of woods and a lot of wildlife around. I'm not a big fan of walking in that at 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. So I haven't been walking as much as I wanted to with her, but she's still getting an outlet with daycare and my other dogs and being outside and that kind of thing. So it's not ideal, but you know, once things kind of get back to the norm at work, then I know I'll go back, kind of, I don't want to say start over, but I'm going to pick up where I left off. It's like kind of hit the pause for a second. You know, I'm still able to do what I'm able to do with her and then carry on from there. So, you know, you've got to have skills. That's all I can say to that. And that was a good question. I've never been asked that before, because I think, I can't remember, I didn't write down the name. I feel like I can see her, but I can't remember. But she had asked, because she had run into dogs that were never on leash. You guys, as dog owners, we are always going to run into dogs off leash. That's all there is to it. I don't see an end game to that at all in the next 10 years. I don't know what it would take in the next 10 years for every dog to be on leash. It's just, you know, that you meet on a path or a road or a sidewalk or whatever it is. You're just not going to. So that's what it really boils down to. I just realized I don't have my mic on. You guys hear me all right? I don't know if I can do this right mid-stream. Sorry, we're going to interrupt this program for some technical difficulties. Somebody give me a hey or a heads up that you can hear me all right. I might try to do this. Yeah, you're right, Dave. It'll never happen. Never happen at all. Fran, yeah, you guys can hear me? Yes? I gotta try something else. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna plug in my microphone. Okay, can you guys hear me now still? Yes, no, better, worse? Testing. Yes, you can still hear me? I gotta give this some time just in case people, you can hear me fine. Good. Does it sound any better or does it sound the same? Hopefully it should sound a little different. Same. Well, I don't know if it's gonna be the microphone or not, but anyways. Okay, so back to it then. You know, again, we're not gonna ever stop seeing dogs off leash coming up to us. That's all there is to it. I wish I could tell you something different, but it won't happen. You know, a lot of leash laws are making sure that your dog is under control, not technically on leash. So you're gonna run into a lot of that kind of stuff, you know, as far as like town ordinances and everything. So, yeah, interesting question though, you know, really interesting question. But the other one, somebody else had asked my opinion on what to do with a new season coming up and it's a lot cooler outside. What other activities can you do with your dog? You guys, any scent games that you want? And I don't know a ton of what to do, but you can always Google it and look there and see what you can come up with. Scent games are wonderful inside the house you can do. Treadmills are great. You guys saw the video that I put up, it was last week or a couple of weeks ago, of Peanut and Pete on the treadmill next to each other. It was kind of nice. We got those things fired up. It's been quite some time since we've got them fired up, but we have, and I did it today too with one of my private appointment that I had today, and it was kind of cool. So, anyways, it was good. You guys, I guess I'm having a hard time. Yeah, flirt pole's okay, Dave. We just don't want to get too intense, but it's just one of those tools again. It just can create a lot of intensity. So, Amanda, that's great, you guys. See, that's great information. A Facebook page called Canine Enrichment, and there are a bunch of ideas on there. So, there, have at it. That's awesome. I'm just not that kind of guy, you guys, to give you all sorts of ideas that are going to create an intense state of mind. That's all. That's all. Whitney, it's all, so this is a great question, by the way. Whitney just said, is there a trick to getting your dog to enjoy the treadmill? That is a fantastic question. However, we're already thinking the dog enjoying on the treadmill. We have to think about how we introduce the dog to the treadmill. And again, I think you guys are giving me another video here. I honestly need like a list of videos because I've got so many in my head that I'd like to create for you guys to put on YouTube. So what I like to do first is to have the treadmill turned off completely, and then, you know, direct, kind of guide the dog up onto the treadmill while it's off, because it's going to feel different on their feet. It's going to it may make a creak or crack sound, whatever you know that it is. We have to get the dog used to those sounds before we can even turn it on. And sometimes just turning it on makes them go bonkers. So you have to take it step by step. And to me, we always have to let them investigate any tool, anything new. You got to give them the time to get used to it, because if there's something new there, to them, they're going to be very leery. You know, dogs either going to walk up onto that very carefully, like, ooh, I don't know what I should do. Or some dogs are going to walk on, they're like completely oblivious. Like, I just got up on this thing, what's the big deal? And I think you just have to figure out, so Whitney, for your dog's sake, I would have that treadmill off and guide her up onto that treadmill until she can get up and off of it, up and off and up and off and up and off a dozen times without even thinking about it before I would even consider turning it on. Then the other thing that you can do is, while she's off of it and maybe 20 feet away, is to turn it on, because you have a very sensitive dog. We have to take it step by step, and every single little thing is new. From when you hit the start button, it usually beeps. to making sure it's, you know, as slow as it can possibly go, and then turning it off and making sure she realizes that there is nothing negative to do with how this big thing just turned on in the room. And it may take you some time for her to get used to it, but you can do it. It's just, again, it takes time. And you guys, look, you look at my post this morning about if you want, you know, to be the best chef in the world in a year, you're gonna laugh at me. And look, there's a lot that goes to it. But if you want the best dog in the world or the best behaved dog in the world, it's not going to be, it's going to take you some time, because you have to have the experience, you have to have the knowledge, you have to gain the knowledge, you also have to make mistakes. Yes, you have to make mistakes. I'm a firm believer in that. Anything that we strive for, we're going to make mistakes. I've made mistakes with dogs before, countless times. I've made more mistakes than probably everybody watching right now put together. Like, that's just who I am in the business that I'm in. It's just like any chef has made 10 times more mistakes in the kitchen than you guys ever have, myself included, you know, and cut themselves more and everything. Like, it's going to happen. It's just the nature of the beast of whatever occupation that we choose. So I just feel, you guys, lately, and, you know, that post kind of inspired me here today, is I just feel like when we get a dog and our dog shows us a bad behavior, that we want an immediate fix. We want the immediately, how do I fix that in the moment, right then, right there? I want to stop it. I don't ever want to see it again, and I want to make it gone. And you guys, it is so, so difficult to just say, hey, my dog's chewing on the remote control, and it's demolished. What do I do? Well, let's do some work ahead of time. The next time you get a remote, and work on it and teach the dog that you're not supposed to do that, and go through that whole communication before we let the dog in the living room around the remote, before we even give the dog a chance to understand that they're not supposed to touch it. You know what I mean? Like, I just feel like there are, and this is nothing against you guys. Please understand this. This is like a brain dump, a vent, a rant, whatever you want to call it. But I just feel like we as dog owners, myself included, I'm not singling anybody out here, myself included, I just feel like sometimes we look at it and we go, oh, we just want the quick fix. You can get the quick fix, but guess what? It's going to take you longer in the long run to actually fix that quick fix than anything else. It really is. I mean, again, and look, it's even on our website. Anybody that brings a dog to us for a board and train, we are not going to solve every single problem of your dog's bad behavior in 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 4 weeks or whatever the case may be. We're just not going to be able to do it sometimes, or most of the time, I should say. Rarely have we had a dog that's just been come in for a board and train, and it's been like, okay, did a 180, fixed, perfect, no worries, none whatsoever. Here's your leash, take it. I'll show you what I did. You are good to go for the rest of your lives with your dog. It doesn't happen that way. They are animals, and contrary to popular belief, they're not humans either, right? Let's go down that rabbit hole. So they're going to make mistakes because they're living in our world. Okay? And Nelson Hodges during my podcast said this great. You know, if we lived on another planet and we had this 7-foot, 8-foot alien with 6 eyes and 12 arms and made all sorts of clicking noises, and we had to live there, we're probably going to make mistakes learning what the language is and learning what we're not allowed to do and learning what we are allowed to do. And when you look at it from that aspect, it will take some time. It has to, until we fully realize what is expected of us and how to go about it. And so, you guys, when you look at it, when you look at your dog and you say, okay, my God, you know, house training. I just need the crate. I just need the crate for house training. Once house training is taken care of, the crate can get put in the basement. It can get put in the attic. It'll collect dust. We're all done with the crate. That's a myth, you guys. The crate is way more valuable than just house training. Way more. Way more, way more. From it being a safe place, to being a babysitter, to dogs being a den animal, to what happens if your dog gets really sick and has to go to the vets and hasn't been in a crate for a couple of years, and all of a sudden has to go into a crate. Now it's dealing with the stress of the not being in a crate, plus being sick. Like, there are so many things that I can throw at you, one after the next, of how crating is way more than just house training. And that's what goes along with it, you guys, is that we look at this, we look at specific things. Like, we look at the prong collar, this medieval torture device that puts holes in your dog's neck. We look at this other device that I have a remote to, and every time I touch it, I'm going to send an electrical shock through my dogs. Or we look at the crate as going, oh, I just need this for house training. Oh, my dog hasn't had an accident. It doesn't need to go in the crate. Well, let's experiment with it, leaving my dog loose in the house, so I can go outside and come back in and make sure that the dog hasn't chewed anything or eaten anything or peed or done anything like that anywhere. So you see how we're getting more reactive to everything, and we're not getting proactive. We're not getting, we're not doing the work ahead of time and doing the practice ahead of time, then just doing the work when we need to do it. Lynn said it best, you guys. Practice when you don't need it. That's all there is to it. Practice when you don't need it. And that's a very proactive approach. And you guys, I feel like I've been 10 times more proactive with the dogs in the last 2-3 weeks than I have been in I don't know how long. Proactive. It's either working on something ahead of the time, it's understanding the dog's tendencies and being 2 steps ahead of that dog and realizing, I'm reading that body language a little bit different, so now I know where to either be. I either know whether I need to correct, sit back and watch them play and enjoy themselves and watch them be a dog, or just be an observer and take in something that I maybe haven't seen for quite some time or haven't seen at all, and understand that this is a teachable moment, not for me to teach the dogs, but for the dogs to teach me. So when you look at your dogs for the next week, until we do this next Monday, look at your dogs and think, how often am I being in a reactive mode? Meaning, oh, the dog did something wrong. Next time it does something wrong, I'm going to do this. No, get ahead of it, you guys. Do something, understanding that if you have to stage something and set the dog up to understand what you are trying to communicate for rules and boundaries, then do that instead of being in this reactive world. I feel like we're so reactive to everything. So reactive, so reactive, so reactive. Quick fix, quick fix, quick fix. Watch an infomercial on dogs. Go on to YouTube, look up dog training, get the fix to my dog barks and lunges at people. And you will come up with a million different choices of what to do. And then you'll go on, and that's not it. Then you go on to something else, and then something else, and something else. And all this time that you've been researching what to do with your dog, instead of actually putting your hands on the dog and going for a walk and learning more about your dog and watching the behavior and recording things that you should be recording with your phone, you guys. These things are awesome. Everybody, we have extras sitting around. I know you do. I know the majority of you watching this right now, just like I'm holding this thing here right now, the majority of you have this extra phone sitting around that's sitting in a drawer doing nothing when you could be using this to record stuff, whether you're recording your dog behaving well or not well or playing, whatever the case may be. You can record your dog, watch your dog, learn, and then go back, watch the video, and watch the body language and pause it and rewind it. This is what I mean. If you guys want to get good at this, which everybody sitting here watching or joining my page, to me, this is an effort in you guys trying to understand what you are doing, what your dog is doing. You're looking to get some advice and get some tips, and I love it because I'm here. This is what I love doing, but it can't just come from me. It can't. You guys have to take a step back, and you guys, I can't tell you how many times I tell people to record the behavior that they have with their phone so they can go back and watch their dog and see all of a sudden there was a signal that I didn't see before. Before my dog actually lunged and barked, I could actually see a change in the dog. My dog's ears changed. I never noticed that before. The tail from down all of a sudden went straight up. I haven't noticed that before. That tells you guys that you're reaching a deeper level in understanding your dog's body language and what they're thinking and what their tendencies are. So instead of waiting until your dog is launched and airborne towards somebody, you're understanding things way back here when the dog goes, hey, I see somebody and I don't like this kind of person. And then we address it. We don't address it way out here when the dog is mid-air. Another, and I'm going to steal all sorts of stuff that Lynn said. There's a beginning, middle, and end to every activity that our dog does. And if you think if your dog lunges, there's a beginning, middle, and end, right? The middle of that whole dog lunging is midair. The beginning, or the middle of it is the dog midair. The beginning of it is when the dog goes, what is that? That's the stuff that you need to record so you can actually understand your dog better. Get ahead of what they're doing so you guys can understand and get and just be able to learn and see those signals. Way back in the day, I would always tell people, because people say, how do you see that? What did you see there? You guys, the signals that common dog owners see from their dog, there are so many more way ahead of that dog trainers see, and that just comes from experience and just staring at dogs all day, every day, through hundreds of different situations. It just comes from that. So instead of getting reactive going, oh, yeah, my dog barked and then it lunged. Well, guess what? There was numerous things that happened way before that. And also, you're way too close to the stimulation because this lunging starts, and the dog realizes that you have no control over what's happening right now, nor do you know how the dog thinks or reacts or the tendencies or the patterns. So the dog just goes into this autopilot over and over and over again. So you guys, I cannot implore you more to get your phone out, record your dog's behavior, whether it's during eating, maybe during feeding. That would be a fantastic little drill for you guys to do. Record yourself while you're feeding your dogs. And then go back and watch it after and look at your dog and go, is my dog actually relaxed before I gave them their food? Does my dog eat really, really quickly? Is it slow? What happens for those 2 minutes or 3 minutes from the time that I pour all the food in the dish and I have the dish until my dog actually starts eating? What is that dog doing? You should look at that body language and study that and see their eyes and see their pupils and see the ears and the body and everything and how it moves. That's being and doing the work ahead of, man, my dog just eats crazy fast and just and is very and guards the food and growls and won't let me near it. See, that's what I mean, is we want the solution to that instead of going back and looking at, hey, let me record this and see what's going on, and maybe am I doing something wrong or am I doing something incorrect? But you guys, that's what I want you guys to work on. If you, like I said, if you are here, you are making an honest effort to bettering yourself as a dog owner. So if you're making that effort to make yourself as a better dog owner, then take it even a step further and go, hey, I need to record this. Why do you think I do all the recording of the videos that I put up on YouTube for you guys? It's just so you can look at the work ahead of the game. How many videos have I put up where I go, okay, this is the solution to the reactive dog. This is when to correct. This is the quick fix on how to correct the dog that lunges. This is the quick fix on how to correct the dog that's got food aggression or resource guarding. Never. Never, 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 never. It's not about how we react to it. It's about doing the work ahead of time to make sure their brain doesn't get into that state where they're just so frantic and they're lunging or they're biting or anything along those lines. It just doesn't happen. It doesn't happen at all. So look at it from that perspective of, what do you have to do? Pick one behavior from your dog. One very, very mild behavior. Could be how you let them out. It could be, here's another good one for you, how you come into the house. What are your dogs doing? Are they absolutely frantic, crazy, berserk, and you have no idea who those dogs really are? Is it feeding time? Is it when you take them for a walk? Maybe putting the leash on. These are all just really excellent ideas for you guys to actually record yourselves with and look at what you are creating. I can't tell you how many times I see a client, when we bring a dog back out to the client, whether it's boarding, daycare, or training, the client will go, oh, I missed you, oh, so much, I missed you, blah, 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 blah. Great, I love the greeting, that's fantastic. The dog jumps, the owner goes, no, 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 no jump, no jump. And I'm like, okay. You realize you created that whole thing. So you're telling the dog, this is what I want you to do, but don't do this. This is what I want you to do, but don't do this. Like you're telling the dog to jump up on you, and then you're telling the dog not to jump up on you. So you're being so confusing to your dog that they just don't understand what you want. Wait, you want me to get all crazy and excited, but then you want me to calm down? I don't get it. That doesn't make a lot of sense. You see what I mean? So there's all sorts of those situations where you guys need to video your phone or video those little interactions. These, you guys, your dog never turns off. That's all there is to it. They never turn off. We can turn off how we interact with our dogs when we don't interact with them and we are sleeping, right? But when we get up in the morning and they get up, they are on. They are studying you, they are watching you, and every interaction that you have with them means something. Positive, negative, in between, whatever you want to call it, it means something. So from there, it is up to you to understand where you're coming from and what the dog is doing and what your interaction with that dog is. Now, is it excitement? 95 times out of 100, it is. Because we look at the dog as having to be blah, 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 blah. That means my dog's happy. No, it means your dog's excited and it doesn't know how to relax. That's all there is to it. You guys look at every single reaction or interaction that you have with your dog. Every single interaction, from that dog looking at you as you walk by, this, to you walking up to them, putting a leash on them, walking by them, whatever you want to call it. Those are all interactions, and your dog is studying your behavior every single time you walk by. And I hope you understand that, because those are the differences that you can make with your dog that are going to help you further down the road with the lunging or the food stuff or the excitement. Every single interaction you have with your dog means something to your dog. You can turn off, you can go put the dog in a crate and go, yeah, I'm done for right now. I need a break. We just had our little lesson, whatever the case may be. And as that dog is sitting in the crate and watching you go by, it's still an interaction because the dog's going, wow, why? Now I'm being ignored. Okay, so I guess we're not doing anything right now. All right, okay, my owner's going to go sit down. All right, well, okay, maybe it's time to rest. Interaction, you guys, you cannot get away from it at all. At all, at all. So that is my rant for tonight. Get your phone out, get this thing out, record yourselves with it, put it on a tripod, have a friend hold it, put it on a counter, stick it up somewhere, plant it somewhere, wherever you can actually record. And honestly, if you're gonna kick it up a notch, and I challenge you guys to do this, I want you guys to record when you put the leash on your dog and how you walk out of the house to go for a walk. And if you can do that and have a relaxed dog the entire time doing it, then it's time for the next step. Until then, you see what, look, just the thought of this, if you cannot control your dog to take it for a walk, to create a relaxed mindset, to take your dog for one of the most primal activities that your dog can do, how would you expect that dog to actually listen to you when its state of mind is so intense that you can't even communicate by voice? Why would that dog listen? It doesn't make sense. Why would that dog listen to you then when there's just the two of you and you're trying to put a leash on? The dog won't listen to you at that point. Why? It doesn't make any sense. We're at level 3 intensity in the house. We're at level 10 when we see another dog that we lunge at or a person that we lunge at. You see what I mean? So there's some inconsistencies of what we're trying to show our dog. Here it's okay. You don't need to pay attention to me. I'm just going to stick this leash on. We'll go for a walk and you can pull me the whole way. My shoulders will be sore when we get back, but it'll be a great time because I think you're happy because of how your tail is up and how you get to sniff everything all over the, God's green earth while we're walking, and you get to pee on everything that's not a fire hydrant. And then when you come back home and you come back in the house and I can unhook you and you can go do whatever you want. Oh, but wait, when you lunge, that's a bad dog. No, don't ever do that. We can't do that. And your intensity is way too high and I can't communicate with you, so I don't know what to do and I need a trainer. That's all there is to it. You guys see the inconsistency with this? Like back and forth? It just, I don't get it when it comes to us wanting the quick fix for the lunging, but when we address how do you walk your dog, there are there's no awareness of what's actually happening with your dog in a very low intensity. So there's my challenge. record your dogs this week while you're putting on the leash. And when you get done putting on the leash and you get your dog relaxed, unhook the leash, go back and hit stop and hit play and watch. And then see what you did, see if you need to do anything different, go back again, hit record, do it again. That's all there is to it. After Lynn left, there was one dog that came to daycare I couldn't wait to work with, because I saw him work with a dog that I had struggled with for quite some time, and after seeing him, I realized I needed to change my ways, do what he showed. I did it. I checked out my surveillance camera afterwards, and I saw my own body language. Even though I was dead set confident on working with this guy, my body language said, I'm not. So my brain was not matching what my body was saying. So don't think that I'm not doing this myself, because I look at this, our surveillance stuff all the time, because I have to learn from what I'm doing. There's no doubt. Every time I have an interaction with a dog that's way deeper than normal, I'm going back to our surveillance camera and I'm looking at what I'm doing, what I look like, and how to go from there and how to improve myself. So this is coming from somebody that's already doing it, challenging you guys. This is my rant for Monday. 8:15 p.m. every Monday, come back here. Next Monday, we're going to talk about it. So you guys have a good night. Get your phones out. Record yourselves. Let's see what you come up with. See ya.